7. And now it's time for our 3 cents here. A clip of Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell has gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah, this happened when the senator was in northern Kentucky yesterday.
A reporter asked if he intends to run for re-election. Take a look.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
Well, later on, his office issued a statement saying the senator felt momentarily lightheaded and needed a pause.
So when incidents like this happen, especially with older politicians, the question of whether they're capable of running the country usually comes up.
Of course, we're not doctors, can't comment on a person's health, don't know what's going on in there. But we have been looking at the trends as far as retirement is concerned. Now, this is the oldest Congress in over a century. The average age in the Senate, about 64 years old, while the average age in the House of Representatives, 57 years old. California Senator Dianne Feinstein, 90 years old, and is finishing up final term. She's had some issues, too, that have been caught on microphones and in the public as well. President Biden, the oldest person to be elected as president.
And it's not just politicians we're talking here. According to Gallup, the average retirement age in 1991 was 57. It went up to 61 years old in 2022. So that brings us to our question, our 3 cents here. When is it a good time to retire? And why are people maybe waiting longer to retire now?
I mean, I feel like the question is, the answer should be for someone at home, I'm ready to retire when I feel like I'm ready to retire. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is sometimes people don't know that they're pushing it a little too much.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And a little too far.
And maybe they need people in their circle
Loved
that care
ones.
about them,
yes,
who say, hey, it might be time to bow out. I can tell you, as far as retirement now, with that average age of non-politicians, it's likely higher because people don't have money to live off of their retirement, what they're going to be getting after they're done
They
working.
expected a certain amount that was going to be required and necessary to live in today's society. They made that decision years ago. Right. Well, now with inflation and everything else up so high, they're realizing they don't have enough. They got to keep working.
I think when we look at the reasons why people don't retire with the politicians versus everyday Americans, those answers are much different.
Right.
I think for everyday Americans, it is that they can't afford to retire, or they know they won't be able to retire with the same amount of money that they have when they have a job. I think for politicians, plenty of Americans look at that and say they're making 6 figures, they're protected with very good health care benefits.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're also making some of the most important decisions in our country right now. Like, they've got to be present for votes. They've got to be all there because they're making decisions that shape our country and could potentially get our country out of the issues we're facing right now.
And that's where people say it's kind of a nonpartisan issue. Regardless of the party that you're with, you are making decisions for all Americans.
Right.
So should there be an age limit? Should there be a term limit? I mean, it's always a conversation. It's come up for decades. But
I found this little point right here. Approximately 2 out of 3 Americans experience some level of cognitive impairment at the average age of approximately 70 years old. So should there be a term limit? Is 70 the magic number in the House, in the Senate? I don't know the answer to that, but potentially they need to look at that.
Looking at this, I mean, as people are in their 80s and 90s shaping our country, they have a lot of staff that work for them who play a lot in these roles, but also at what point will the staff member be like, okay, it's time?
I think it's brought the conversation more to the surface with seeing these types of things happen.
Okay.
All right, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.